Andrea Gibbs
on ABC Radio.
I was born and bred in a little town called Donnybrook, WA's apple capital, and you can definitely hear that in my voice. I'm from around here. I know the ropes. But when you're new in town and English maybe isn't your first language, finding a job can toss up a whole new set of challenges. Alma Besserdin emigrated from the former Yugoslavia to Australia in 1991 and knows this firsthand. And with that knowledge tucked in her briefcase, along with a bunch of qualifications, she's now helping immigrant women find professional jobs here in Australia through her organisation. It's called Wimmigrants. Welcome to Weekends, Alma.
Thanks very much, Andrea. I'm really thrilled to be part of talking to you today.
So, let's start with your story. What were the circumstances that brought you here to Australia?
We applied actually to come to Australia just before the war started in former Yugoslavia in 1991. I was a former lawyer, so we actually came on a business visa, but soon as we actually applied and started the process, the war started in the former Yugoslavia, so we basically had to accelerate the process and arrive here in 1991.
And when you arrived, were your qualifications recognised here?
No, my qualifications were in law. So as a lawyer, I came here, and obviously it's a different legal system, Andrea. So I was actually part of the civil law system, whereas in Australia it's a Commonwealth law system, and naturally I couldn't practice my law. So I finished postgraduate in human resource management, industrial relations, and basically established my career in that way. If you come from different countries, like former Yugoslavia, for example, we didn't have the resumes, and there are many other countries that don't have that sort of process in place. And I often travel in taxis, and I did in the last 26 years since I've came here. And a lot of people from India, Sri Lanka, or elsewhere are doctors, or they have MBAs and different qualifications in a technical stream, and they're still not aware. And a couple of years later, they're still driving taxis. And I'm really keen to help these people to actually understand that they can accelerate their career. There are transferable skills, and in particular, if they have engineering backgrounds, what's the way that they can actually start that career much faster than they normally would?
Because it's not always like easy just moving country. I mean, like just disrupting your kind of home life is hard enough to deal with, and then all of these kind of job hunting and stuff like that. And I can imagine it's quite an expensive process as well.
It is, and it's a very daunting process, Andrea. It's a beautiful country, but you might be overwhelmed when you arrive somewhere in your environment, because especially like us, we didn't have anyone here. We didn't have the friends. It's a new language. I spoke English when I came here, but it's still different. You don't know what to do, and there is so much information in Australia, more than anywhere else. But if you don't know what to do, where to start, how to start, then you just go in circles. And I was pretty much lucky that I listened to people around me when I was at the RMIT doing my studying in English. The teacher said to me, "Your English is very good. You should actually go and maybe see somebody in career counseling and actually see what to do." But if she didn't tell me that, I probably would be one of these people, wasting my time and going around not knowing what to do.
I imagine when you arrived, not kind of having anyone to talk to about this was difficult. And then you had family come over years later. Is that right? Was it easier for them because you were here?
Yes and no. It was easier because I was already here, I think, about 5 years, and I was establishing my life naturally. But it was a bit harder for them because, they've been there for a good part of the 4 or 5 years within the war, and they actually experienced all this trouble and, being really unsettled in part of the former Yugoslavia where I come from. So for them, like when my mum came here, she already had depression, and my sister and her family, they had to escape with a different part, and my nephew was 17, and, he was ready to be taken by the army. So all of that was really difficult for them to kind of just experience and then come to a new country and start new life. And again, they didn't know what to do. But I hope I was able to help them a little bit more than in situation where I came here and not knowing anyone. But it's still very difficult. It's a lot of traumas for these people who arrive in circumstances like that.
Yeah, well, it kind of seems like it's, the best of two quite horrible worlds, really. If you stay, then you've got this set of challenges, and then to move, you come up against a whole bunch more. What are some of the challenges that women immigrants face when they come here? Particularly, has it got to do with their accent and not just their qualifications?
There are lots of challenges that sometimes, there's a fine line, Andrea. Sometimes when you come in a new country, you think everyone actually just can focus on your accent or focus where you're coming from, and you might feel insecure without actually anyone even focusing on you yourself, if that makes sense. So I remember when I came here, and there will be time during the recession time in Australia between 92 and 94, I would have, sent 80 applications and not get any interviews. And it's very easy to start thinking, oh, it's me. Must be wrong, something with me, or maybe because of my accent. And I'm thinking, okay, well, how would they know that's my accent? They didn't even invite me for the interview. Maybe they look in my resume and see where I'm coming from. And then it takes time to actually realize, well, it's not me. It's the fact is that probably somebody else has better skills and different skills and so on. And these are some of the challenges that people still have, because we're all human beings. We all have this fear of, am I going to be accepted? Am I going to be recognized because I'm different? And I think Australia is one of the countries in the world who actually embrace the difference. I personally had a fantastic career here and been promoted in many roles and have the opportunity to work in so many organizations in Australia and did a great job. And I never actually felt that I was disadvantaged. But if I didn't come out the other end thinking, what can I do here to change this situation, it would have been very different. And I still hear a lot of women who come to country and they're here a year or 2 years and they're stuck in the same job or they can't get a job. And it's easy to come into that situation to think, oh, that's because I'm from, whatever countries they come from. And I often have to talk to them and say, is it? Or is it you who actually have this in your head? But it could be also the other way, that sometimes there are disadvantaged because where they come from.
So how do you help women overcome those kind of confidence hurdles, and how did you yourself do that? Being handing out all those resumes and getting knockback after knockback.
I think it takes to be persistent. It takes the courage to put yourself out there to succeed. I personally have been always positive, and that is just something that was really kind of my advantage, Andrea. And when I see other women who perhaps don't have that courage to be themselves, or they don't have courage to put themselves out there, or if I actually realize that there is something holding them back, I work through that with them. And that's a common universal fear. It's not just for the women, it's for human beings in general. A lot of times people will think, oh, it's me, I'm not accepted because of my accent or my skin color or the way I'm different. And sometimes they can put themselves into a situation where they project that, and then other people can see it and it's reflection on what they feel themselves. Sometimes it could be situations that somebody does feel a little bit discouraged because of the environment they are in. So it's really hard to know what it is. But I always say to them, don't blame someone else. Try to take accountability yourself and actually see what you can do and build that confidence and say, okay, let's work through what is that you can do different. Okay, you've sent 10 applications, send another 10 or 15. And then I give them examples what I've done when I came to this country and the way I succeeded. So it's just building that confidence and reinforcing constantly the messages that it's up to you what you want to do. Don't rely on someone else to give you the opportunities. Make those opportunities yourself, because I think Australia is a fantastic country to be able to actually succeed in anything you want to do, really.
As you said, a lot of the women that are arriving are incredibly talented and qualified. What would you say to potential employers about this pool of talent that you come across?
I would say to them, it is important to have a local experience, but my question is always, what's the local experience in a global environment? One of the things that I'm really keen, and my vision is to also open up more of the open mind for all of these employers. And I know it's happening more and more, Andrea, these days with the globalization, but I believe we are not there yet. I believe we probably can do this even more because all of these people who come, in particular educated, and have so much to offer, why not leverage the connections overseas that they have? Why not leverage their knowledge? Because a lot of times they come from experience in the global organizations. And my question would be, why not leverage all of these experiences and knowledge of these people to connect overseas and actually expand the economy in this country rather than say, you just need a local experience? Because when you think about it in a context of Australia, every organization has basically their own culture. So that means you can't really understand the culture of each of these organizations unless you work in that organization. But skills are transferable, and let's start thinking big rather than just local experience.
Variety definitely is the spice of life. Alma Besserdin,
Absolutely.
the founder of Wimmigrants, an organisation designed to help professional immigrant women find work in their field here in Australia. Thank you so much for your time today, and we wish you all the best going forth and all the courageous women that you work with.
Oh, thank you so much, Andrea, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today.